Hi, I'm Granny, and we're going down the rabbit hole of the brain and its many curiosities. And in no way does this list include everything that's very curious about the brain. While I was down the rabbit hole on the brain, I came across many things I found very curious about our brains. I made a list of the ones that I found most curious and decided to create a video on them. They are lucid dreams, slow wave dreams, brain plasticity, muscle memory, synesthesia, and we've mentioned that before, and blind sight. There are many dream states. Lucid dreams in psychology subfield of oneirology. A lucid dream is a type of dream where a person is dreaming and also realizing that they are dreaming during their dream. The term lucid dream was coined by Dutch author and psychiatrist Friedrich van Eden in his 1913 article, A Study of Dreams. Prominent figures from ancient time to modern times have been fascinated by lucid dreams and have sought ways to better understand their causes and purpose. In formal psychology, lucid dreaming has been studied and reported for many years. Early references to lucid dreaming are also found in ancient Greek writing. For example, the philosopher Aristotle wrote, quote, "Often when one is asleep, there is something in consciousness which declares that what then represents itself is but a dream," end of quote. And when we went down the rabbit hole of the Library of Alexandria, we learned about the physician Galen of Pergamon. He used lucid dreams as a form of therapy. And he lived like 170 AD. So that's almost 2,000 years ago that it's being used as a therapy. Records show the practice of lucid dreaming is central to both the ancient Indian Hindu practice of yoga nidra and the Tibetan Buddhist practice of dream yoga. The cultivation of such awareness was a common practice among early Buddhists. People have learned to have lucid dreams. During a lucid dream, the dreamer may gain some control over dream characters and the environment. Please go down the rabbit hole for the therapeutic uses of lucid dreams. It's very interesting. I have a recurring dream of where I can't find my purse. I now realize that when I am having this kind of dream, while I'm dreaming, I realize that it's a dream, and so I don't stress it. And it's curious to me that often, once I realize in the dream that I'm dreaming, I wake up. The other thing that I find very interesting is it's called slow wave dreams, or sometimes referred to as memory consolidation, and statistically recalled at a higher rate than other dreams. According to scientists, in slow wave dreams, the participants' mental activity is closer to real life events, which I find interesting because I would say most of my dreams are bizarre, like I'm flying with an elephant or just bizarre different characters in my dreams. Makes me wonder. Anyway, I don't regularly try and remember my dreams, and maybe if I did, I would recognize more slow wave dreams. According to the medical and chemical aspects of slow wave sleep, it is considered to be the constructive phase of sleep when the mind body is recuperating and rebuilding itself after each day. When I was reading about this, it made me remember or think about computers. When we were first given computers or had access to computers, we had to schedule the defragmentation program. Otherwise, the computer would die, and that was very painful for any owner. Today, when you buy a computer, it is already programmed to periodically defrag. Defragging is a process that reorganizes files on your computer hard drive or other storage devices to improve their performance. I consider slow wave sleep is like defragging your brain so that you are more functional the next day. And maybe this is why it is so damaging for humans to go without sleep. Brain plasticity is another very interesting thing. It is also known as neuroplasticity. It is the brain's ability to change and adapt its structure. Think of that, its structure and function in response to learning and experience. These changes can include the growth and reorganization of neural networks. Remember when I talked about my scotoma? Such as individual neurons making new connections or more systematic adjustments. This is crazy. I have heard, and there are many cases, if you were to do a Google, of children having a hemisphere of their brain removed or disconnected because of epilepsy. Again, the younger they are when this happens, the more adaptive their brain is. It's amazing to me. It is the brain's plasticity that enables people with brain injuries, like me, to recover and adapt. This process involves reorganizing neural pathways in the brain to create lasting changes, which is such a miracle. In psychology, therapists are looking at brain plasticity as a tool to help people, including those suffering from PTSD. When someone experiences trauma, their brain can rewire itself to cope, forming new neural pathways that can bypass damaged areas. This rewiring can help people regain lost abilities and develop new coping mechanisms. It would be nice to be able to eliminate traumatic memories, but as yet, it isn't possible. The danger is that to eliminate one bad memory, good memories will be threatened. Anyway, learning to cope is the best solution so far, and the term cope means different to different people. But anyway, another curiosity is muscle memory. It is a form of procedural memory that involves consolidating a specific motor task into memory through repetition, which has been used synonymously with motor learning. With continual practice, like knitting, riding a bike, playing a tune on the piano, can be performed almost automatically without much thought. When movements are repeated, the brain creates a long-term muscle memory. That's in quotes. Muscle memory is in quotes. For it resulting in, for instance, a person being able to play the piano with little effort. I often think when I watch somebody perform and they're playing a complicated song on the piano and singing along with it, I marvel at that. Anyway, I'm not sure if it has anything to do with muscle memory, but have you ever heard about people who have received an organ transplant like heart, kidney, liver, lungs, and noticing that their likes and dislikes or preferences of food or smells change, or liking food they didn't in the past? There is only anecdotal evidence of this, but it has happened so often, and so far scientists have found no answers for this phenomenon. We've talked about synesthesia before. It's known as a perceptual phenomenon in which stimulation of one sensory, say for instance, seeing something or hearing something, or a cognitive pathway to involuntary experiences in a second sensory or cognitive pathway, meaning they can see a word, but it reminds them of a picture, or not a picture, but a color. Synesthesia is when you hear music, but you see shapes or colors, or you hear a word or a name and instantly see a color. Synesthesia is a fancy name for when you experience in one of your senses through another sense. You might hear the name Susan and see a color purple. Someone with synesthesia may see colors with letters or numbers have different colors. Most people with synesthesia see characters just as others do, but they may simultaneously perceive colors. Little is known about how synesthesia develops. It's really interesting. This is really interesting. Blind sight. That's a contradiction, isn't it? The definition of blind sight is the ability of people who are cortically blind, for you and me, just blind, can't see, who are able to respond to visual stimuli that they do not consciously see. The definition of cortical blindness is the total or partial loss of vision in a normal appearing eye caused by damage to the brain's occipital cortex. Cortical blindness can be acquired or can be congenital, meaning you're born with it. The person is unable to see visually images, but somehow some part of their unconscious brain can perceive it. Not only perceive it, but actually see locations in space of where it is. Visual information from the eye is being processed unconsciously so that the blind person can respond even though they cannot visually see. People with blind sight don't know they are visually processing what they're seeing. When we went down the rabbit hole of circadian rhythm, I shared an example of a university study where they put participants in a brightly lit room in the middle of the night. All the participants, including those who were visually impaired, unable to see the bright light, their sleep patterns were disrupted. People with blind sight have been tested for their ability to detect color differences, brightness changes, the ability to discriminate between various shapes, as well as tracking movement. And if you do enough research and watch enough videos, you can actually see these experiments take place. People with blind sight have the conscious experience of blindness, often feeling like they're just guessing, even though they have a very high level of accuracy. So their guessing is pretty accurate. How conscious are we of the world around us and the choices and decisions we make, of the emotions and attitudes that motivate us? How much is us or our brains' mental activity or our brain's processing of information? Can we also have a form of blind sight? Most psychologists believe that consciousness is only a very small part of our total cognitive activity. That kind of blows my mind. I think we should be open to our lucid dreams, our brain plasticity, our muscle memory, our blind sight, and in some cases, synesthesia. We need to realize we have so many more capabilities we aren't even aware of. Think of the light spectrum. how very little we're able to see with our eyes, but maybe other parts of our body, our consciousness is aware. Thank you for spending your time with me. Please join me again when Granny goes down the rabbit hole. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.